the counter punch. Telling him not to counter punch. Telling him not to counter punch.
It's a beautiful morning. Welcome to Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On the show today, Nigeria at the State Ultimate Scrabble Tournament. The Nigerian Basketball Federation suffers setback ahead of Paris Olympic, and in football, Kylian Mbappe sees deal with a new club. Details of this and many more will be yours in RGF.
Telling him not to counter punch. People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
On the point of order.
Honorable They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics.
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask, oh?
Because this road where they see, so it no guarantee safe delivery.
We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so no dey, light outside. The infrastructure e come turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, spoil everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
No vex. Now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Now my body network there.
I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. I will call you back.
That behavior not good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently, make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the Marketer Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Corruption not in my country.
I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't booga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we'll go block later. You remember that contract where we do that time now? They don't pay.
But first, you see the house rent with the old since. We go first call caretaker, take the money, slap him.
Beg, see, you know, say I get annual levy why they pay for club. Where me and boys they shark beer in our house, I could pay that one. You remember say me and tell you I go buy you motor. I go buy now.
Okay, they pay you money now. We don't they beg caretaker? Why would they beg landlord, old man, and they agree give us time? Money can't come now. You won't divert time. You said na corruption. Corruption, not in my house and not in my country.
Sure.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the Marketer Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. Airport Temple is my name, and I have Emmanuel and Michael joining us on this wet Tuesday morning. Good morning and welcome to this show. It's still raining out there, and but we're here to give all the best in sports.
Yeah, definitely. Good morning, thankful, and good morning to our viewers out there. Of course, just like you say, it's a very wealthy day here, down here in the city of Port Harcourt. But you know, we bring you the flavor of sports to spice it up, to take away the colds, and that is why we are here this morning.
Certainly, and of course, we start from Scrabble this morning. We are Africa #1 and world #2 English Scrabble playing nation. Nigeria is to stay the first of its kind competition tag, the Ultimate Scrabble, in July.
Great one, because I think Scrabble is not a popular game here in the country, but I think the organizers are doing everything possible to give it that facelift, to give it that publicity that it truly deserves, so that also we can also do well in that area of sport, because you know, over the years as football has taken over other sports that we find it very, very difficult to even take part in other relatively unknown sports like Scrabble here. But then in Africa and in the country, we've been able to make our mark, but then we need to continue to build on you know, this publicity, to build on the gains of the achievement in the past. So for me, I think it's the right way to go. It's
the right way to go, and of course, current West African champion and most valuable player of the Nigerian Scrabble Federation Interclub Challenge, Oluwatimileyin Doko, is massively preparing. It's a 3-day event. Players are expected to arrive on Friday, the 19th of July, and the competition will end on the 21st of July with the closing games and presentation ceremony. It's even lovely to get to see Nigeria, you know, being showcased at the level of Scrabble. When you are named as to the best, you know, top one among the top countries in Scrabble, it tells how far we have done so well, and especially Lagos University of Lagos, you know, continue to pop out the students who are very good in this game.
Yeah, I think it's a massive booster. Lagos State over the past couple of years, especially the 5 years, you know, that have gone by, they've actually done a whole lot in terms of sport development, especially in the area of Scramble for me, and that is why they were able to churn out about 3 good you know, names that we cannot forget in a hurry, who have also done the country proud. I believe if other state universities as well and higher institutions also follow the pattern of what Lagos State is doing in the area of sport, I tell you, we'll have a whole lot of talent, you know, being churned out in a country that is going to possibly do the nation proud. Some of these big names you hear in the world of athletics today, they also come through the ranks of a university sport, you know, festival and all of that. Talk about Unical, Unilag, they are up there. You know, even up on River State, you know, University here, they've also produced, you know, notable sportsmen and women. So for me, I think it's a massive achievement, one that other state universities, like I said earlier, should also take a cue.
Take a cue, and of course, we'll get to see how that will play out. And one thing very important is that the organizers are really, you know, highly preparing massively to ensure that this engagement come to, you know, fruition. And of course, the volleyball, massive preparation from that particular Scrabble competition. July, the apartment, every other logistics is well planned to ensure that the players will be well entertained. Away from that, let's talk some volleyball. And the president of Nigerian Volleyball Federation, Engineer Musa Nimrod, has rated the just concluded phase 1 of the ACS Division 1 and 2 Nigerian Volleyball League high, following the high intensity and standard, and also improvement witnessed in the leagues.
Yeah, no doubt about the exploit of what the volleyball team here in the country is doing, especially within the West African region. I think we're forced to be reckoned with, and in Africa as a whole, we are also making our mark. And it boils down to the fact that our league here, the volleyball league, is properly structured, and that is what the president is talking about. But there is need to also build on the gain of you know, last season improvement, because what we want to see is you know, improvement after improvement. Every season you need to also continue to, you know, up the stake. The last season was for me most important, because we have a whole lot of stars being churned out from different teams, especially the Lagos State team are out there. They've been doing very massive. Lagos State over the past 5 years, they are doing something very spectacular in terms of sport generally. That is why when it has to do with the National Sport Festival, you see a state like Bayelsa Lagos State, you can't, of course, forget them, dominating. So for me, I think it's a massive thing. Like I said, about 5 players, I can't actually figure out their name right now that, did pretty well in last year's edition. And for this year, the president is also, trying to make a total appraisal of what happened last year and try to see how they are going to improve on that come this year. So for me, I think it's a great one that we are beginning to, make headways in terms of some of these sports that people do not take interest in. Because when you do that and give it the right publicity, I tell you, so many persons who are not in tune with the sport in the past, might want to key into it because you've been able to give it the proper publicity and also the proper organizational structure. It will attract people to want to venture into such sports. So for me, I think we must also build on this game going forward.
Build on again, and of course, the president speaking at the multi-purpose hall of the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja on Saturday night said he's very pleased with the level of the game, and they are improving yearly. For the first time in the history of the league, 17 teams from across Nigeria participated in the championship, and the date and venue for the phase 2 will be communicated by the federation as soon as possible. That the last phase 1 started on 21st of May and ended on the 1st of June, and massive one, just the way we also saw how the first phase of the handball league in Nigeria commenced. And let's see how it all plays up. And of course, let's move on now. Let's move on to the next activities happening in sports, and I can tell you for sure that a lot of preparation ahead of that particular one. This time, let's talk tennis. Tennis is next on the show, and a lot has been happening in the French Open, Mike. And at this point in time, we just have to look at issues that are massive preparation for the big guys in the system. We hear that Medvedev is out. Can you take us through some of the happenings?
Yeah, I think the ATP, Medvedev is the greatest, is the biggest rather of the name that have suffered casualties in this year's edition of the French Open. I think it was a total disappointment for Danny Medvedev, but then you want to say yes, Danny Medvedev has not been able to hit his peak over the past few months right now, and that is why he keeps struggling. So he's the biggest casualty last night, where he fell to the firepower of his opponent. They're quite disappointing. But Novak Djokovic as well in the ATP had to rally back into the game to show once again the reason why he still remains as world #1. Though in the first set of the game he took the lead, by making a very strong statement. We thought this was going to be a total dominance in the first quarter of the game, when he actually won his opponent by 6-1. In the second quarter, the opponent came back very strong. Third quarter, the opponent took the second and third quarter. But in the fourth quarter, he had to fight back very seriously to draw level. He had to go to 5 sets before he was able to nick that one in the board. And for me, I think it tells you of such quality that he has, despite the injury worries, because yesterday we saw him scampering. We saw him leaping at some point, needed some medical attention, but then he failed to give up. I mean, that is a monstrous, mentality that he displayed there yesterday, to stay very strong, even in the court where, it seems as though all was not well with him medically, but then he was able to stay very strong. He came back into the game, draw level in the fourth quarter. The game went to the fifth set, where he was able to emerge victorious. So for me, I think it clearly tells you of the quality. We still have some of the big names that have made it through. Carlos Alcaraz, CC Pass, Yannick Sinner. These are some of the big names that is still very much around, especially in the ATP. But the greatest casualty, like I said earlier, is Danny Medvedev, who could not scale through.
And Medvedev has been ousted out, in this year's competition. And of course, a lot. Alex de Minaur in the men's fourth round also tried to, but he was not forthcoming. Russian 50 Medvedev was beaten 4-6, 6-2, 6-1, 6-3 in the 5-set at Roland Garros. We also saw in the women's games, Sabalenka continue to power on, regardless of the strong opposition, getting past Emma Navarro and doing the needful there to ensure that she gets to the next phase of the competition. And I think that for Sabalenka, there is no doubt as to her pedigree. The only problem is whether she can win in the finals if Iga Swiatek gets to the finals?
And that is a big question, and it's a problem she needs to solve herself out there. But I know if she can be able to scale the hurdle and get to the final, there's a possibility that you know, she might possibly win. But then it still remains to be seen right now, because we know that Iga Swiatek is a player that you can't just write off any day, anytime. But a final is always a final. Even if Aina Zabalenka get to the final against the world #1, talking about Iga Swiatek, is going to be a very keenly contested encounter, you know. But let me hold on to my prediction until we see Aina Zabalenka get to the final, because there are so many games to still play before we can start talking of the final. But one thing is very certain, that Aina Zabalenka, looking at what she has also done in this competition, you also tip her to get to the final. We still have the likes of Onjeboa, Cory Coco Gauff still very much around, and some of the big name players. So we hope to see some of the biggest name in the final, because that, you know, brings the excitement of tennis lovers, because you want to see some of these big name, you know, battling out in the final. It makes the final very, very rich, and it makes it very thick. It keeps the fans very excited and very on their toes as well. So I hope to see some of these big names, you know, making it through to the finals.
Some of the big names making it through to the finals. Of course, we'll keep our finger crossed on that particular one, and let's begin to know. I mean, the French Open comes to an end this weekend, and I tell you, a lot of actions will take place before the grand finale on Saturday and on Sunday, where we're going to see the female and the men, you know, final take place there at Roland Garros. Away from that, let's come back home and let's talk about the Badminton Federation. Massive preparation camp has opened, and looks like our new Peori, who is men's champion, they will be preparing. All those who are preparing for Olympics should be getting up for what is to come in the next 2 months.
Yeah, and that is what they are doing. You need to start preparation very early if you want to achieve a positive result out there in the French at the Paris Olympic game rather. Because if you don't start preparation very early, I think you are just going to go out there for jamborees, and of course you don't expect Team Nigeria or the contingent coming from Nigeria to go all the way to France for just jamboree. They must go there and make a mark. They must go there, bring a positive result, and that is why they are starting their preparation very early, so that the players get to understand themselves more. The coaches as well will also have the ample opportunity to infuse his own philosophy into the heart of this player and be able to blend them. Let there be that synergy, let there be that understanding that when you get to the game proper, you see players seamlessly closing his or her own eye to give a pass to the next player, because of the proper understanding, because of the long camping, early preparation. So for me, these things are key. These are the basics. If you are going for a major championship, these are the basic things you must do. You must start preparation in earnest, so that it enables the player to get to understand themselves very well, and also help the coach to perfect his or her own plan, and be able to translate his philosophy to the heart of the team, so that we can be able to have, you know, a positive result when the competition officially kick off. So for me, that is the right way to go.
That is the right way to go, and of course, I'm happy to hear that federations are really getting up, and that's because of the kind of minister we have now, who is very interested in what is happening around. You know, last week we talked about when he said that all the federations are, in fact, they had a meeting, and they need to start hitting the ground running. Attention needs to be focused on the NOC, what is happening around the federation that we represented. So I think that the influence of the minister might also have changed the narrative or dynamics. They may not be fun, so to say, but when you have plans, there will always be support from the NOC. Don't also forget that part of the preparation is the money doled out to each NOC, you know, as each Olympic Committee members to prepare. So I think that on the long run, regardless of what might have happened and played out, we cannot rule out the fact that if you have a leadership that has this potential to drive success, some of these things we're hearing now will be happening. Unlike other times when we hear that some physicians have already started preparation. But this time around, all the physician presidents, when they speak with fact, and they are very ready for, you know, opening camp, and they're preparing the athletes for the Olympic. This is a good tale, especially if you compare and contrast what has played out in the last 4
ministry where he has little or no experience, so many persons actually doubted his capability of performing in this ministry. But then I think for me, he has gone beyond the ordinary to do what is not seen in the past. Even during the regime of Solomon Dalong, we never see this kind of a massive improvement where we see sport minister galvanizing all the federating unit of sport to make sure that they have a proper planning, have a way forward. So for me, I think he must give it to the sport minister because he's actually doing pretty well. It's not centering his focus on particular sport. It's making sure that there is an even development of sport holistically, and that is why he's able to carry everybody along. You see how he's very, very interested about each federation making sure that preparation is geared toward having a successful outing out there in Paris Olympic. And it clearly tells you of the quality of a man that truly mean well for the development of sport in the country. If other sport ministers have come and gone, has been working around the clock the way he has done within the few months that he has been in office, don't forget he's barely a year and a half into office, and we are seeing a lot of improvement. Even example is the All-African game that just finished out there in Ghana. We came, at least we finished within the podium respectively, coming second after Egypt. So for me, it clearly tells you of the high improvement and the interest, the deliberate action of the sport minister towards making sure that there is a total revamp of the sport, ministry here in the country. So for me, I think all support must also be given to him so that we ensure we continue to move in this right trajectory.
And of course, away from the sports minister now, World Athletics has announced a new global championship to start in 2026, which will feature the biggest prize fund in the sports history. The World Athletics Ultimate Championship will see world champions, Olympic champions, and Diamond League winners, and the year's leading athletes go up against each other while representing their national team. This will be a beautiful one to behold. Now, we also hear that the event will have a 10 million US dollars, kitty, with gold medalists receiving 150,000 US dollars. Competition will take place over 3 evening sessions. This will be one of the truly. I'm not surprised because we've seen in recent time how World Athletics have been leading the pace when it comes to monetary motivation to athletes.
Yeah, it's a massive one. I think this one is another big, step toward ensuring that they continue to keep athletes on their toes on making sure that at least they continue to improve on their performance and also get to rack in the money because they have limited time to spend on the track out there. As an athlete, you are not going to remain there forever. At some point in time, you also retire, and when you retire, what are the benefits? What will you fall back to? So some of this monetary incentive that the World Athletic Body is attaching to some of this competition, I think is a big one, a massive leap for the athletes out there. I tell you, it's a great idea. The assemblage of the creme de la creme in the athletic world is going to be a great one, where we see athletes that come top in their respective position, maybe starting from the Olympic game down to the Commonwealth game and down to the World Athletic championship out there. You'll be able to bring all these stars together, race of stars together for a common purpose in a certain podium for them to also come and vie. The best of the best in different categories, down from the Olympic that I've mentioned, come together to vie for a certain honor and a certain prize money. So for me, I think it's going to be a big one. But then let's hope that this major competition is not going to wear down the athletes, just like what we see in football. In some time ago, a few months ago, when the Champions League, some European countries is trying to do something very different away from the Champions League and other leagues being introduced, some players are beginning to complain that some of these games is where it's getting too hard on them, because they are also. Let's hope that the introduction of this very one is not going to become a problem for the athletes, so that they won't break down, because they are also human. You can't continue to take part in such a strenuous activity you know, every time. You must break down. So I think they also need to look into that angle. But then for the monetary aspect, I think it's very massive.
Very massive, and of course, keep our hands crossed. In the coming years, we get to relate more with the announcement from the World Athletics. With that, now we're going on a short break. When we come back, we'll head straight to football matters here on Atlantic Television Network. Don't go anywhere.
Kasali, I hope so my car don't ready. I get interview in 30 minutes.
Okay, you don't ready. I just the last minute instruction where you give me yesterday. Now in the cause more delay.
Which instruction?
Maybe now you say make I change the meter, make you no read again.
Which time I make you change meter? Oh, Kasali, why you do like this now? Eh? You don't get sense. You don't read the text message. Nobody I want send them to. Like Kasali, my electrician, make it come house, call me do my meter so that you don't go to read again. You the electrician?
You're electrician.
Yes, now.
So you call Kasali electrician, make it come help you adjust your meter, make it for no read again, Abi. So you said you want join people where be say they no want they pay NEPA bill again, Abi. Oga, you know good now. You don't listen, you don't they behave like all these stiff people.
Oh, what you change from your motor? What you change from?
Full light. Fuel gauge. Speedometer.
For what you know, you for come over home my motor. I better identify for me.
Okay. Now don't do something we corrupt. And something come backfire. Now go come they find how to dodge them.
What you talk?
They greet you.
This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Corruption not in my country.
What do you want to buy?
Potato. Small baskets.
I want plantain. But why your plantain can't hard like this?
Madam, now the outside hard. Inside there, it is very soft.
Madam, wallahi make I no buy them. Make I show you something. What? What in this one? Madam, this one now the chemical where they put on for the plantain make I ripe up.
So you dey put chemical for plantain where people go chop?
No water, no be chemical. Madam,
water. You know say Pela I don't talk and say water and not be enemy. Drink am.
Where I collect that water, drink am.
I just stop finish. See my belly. After it don't big. I just stop drink water finish.
Wait, you drink am now. At the sell plantain, I go come put am for chemical because I want to make a ripe go. That's why I talk now corruption. Corruption. Not be for this kaswa, come not be for this country. Now me take am.
Corruption not in my country.
This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN. From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring. From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on
Telling him not to counterpunch.
All right, welcome back from that break. We're just joining us a sports talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and it's time to talk football matters. And of course, we'll start from the from Nigeria here, where Coach Dan Juma of the Falconets, he says that they will fear no team, and he has assured that Nigerian under-20 girls have no fear as the draws for this year's FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup takes place in Colombia, the capital Bogota, tomorrow. The finals in Colombia will be the first to welcome 24 teams, with Africa supplying 4, Nigeria, Morocco, Cameroon, and Ghana. Matches will take place in 4 venues in 3 different cities, Bogota, Medellin, and Cali. There will be 2 venues in Bogota, Estadio El Capín and Estadio El Teco. The Estadio Atanasio Girardot in Medellin and Estadio Pascura Guerrero in Cali are the other venues. Already, the 24 finalists have been segregated into 4 pots. 1, Colombia, Spain, Japan, France, Korea, DPR, Germany will be in pot 1. Pot 2 will see Nigeria, Brazil, Mexico, USA, Netherlands, New Zealand. Pot 3 will see Korea Republic, Ghana, Australia, Canada, Paraguay, and Argentina. And then pot 4 we see pot 4 we'll get to see some of the also anticipation. But let me come to you, Mike. We've seen the way the team has been strategically located, and we get to know 24 teams who were part of this particular one. And one thing very striking is it doesn't matter how far. This is one competition we've been part of, even if we're yet to win it. But Nigeria, we're hoping again that they can get their hands on this particular one. For representatives from Nigeria, can we change the narrative?
For representatives from Africa,
from Africa, I mean to say yes.
I think we have what it takes to go out there and prove a point to the world. It doesn't matter the pots that Nigeria falls into, because when you head to such a big competition or championship, you just prepare for whatever, because you are going to definitely meet some of the best teams across the globe, coming up against you. So you must prepare. Forgetting the pot that you find yourself. Sometimes some team always want to pray or wish that they get a very weaker draw against some of the weaker opponents in quote. But then I think that is not the mentality of a champion. A champion is always ready for whatever comes your way, because if you must be able to become a champion, you must be the best of the best to emerge as a champion. And for me, I think when you talk about underage grade football, especially in the female category, we've not made our mark in the world, but maybe on that age category in the male competition, yes, we're forced to be reckoned with as the first country to have won the under-17, a record 5 good times. Even Brazil is very, very envious of Nigeria when it has to do with underage football, especially in the male category. But when it comes to the female category, I do not think they've been able to make that mark in the world. But in Africa, yeah, you may want to say we dominate Africa, but the continental scene still remain a foul cry compared to the performance we get here in Africa. So for me, I just think that Coach Danjuma and his girls have been able to prepare for whatever is to come their way. Going out there, we must go out there with the spirit of Nigeria to fight so hard, and not minding any group that we find ourselves, not minding any country that we are pitched against. We must do our best to actually come top in that very one and to hoist the flag of Africa, because if we get to do well, then it's for the glory of Africa. And then we also hear that the delegation of Nigeria under-17 girls Flamingo will fly down to Liberia, Monrovia on Thursday ahead of Sunday's FIFA under-17 Women's World Cup final qualifying fixture. This is a must-win all for
for our team for must get a ticket.
Yeah, and for me, I think I'm very much confident heading into this very game because I think we have an edge over them because you know, we're forced to be reckoned with in Africa, especially in football, whether male or female. I think we've actually proven our worth over the years. So I think dropping down at Morovia will definitely have the odd in our own favor. So I think I'm tipping our guests to go out there and do the needful.
To get to this level, we're able to defeat the likes of the ladies from the Central African Republic and the Burkina Babes to qualify, and of course we hope that this will be done. Now let's move away from that and let's talk about still World Cup qualification, this time the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Yes, it is the Labour strike at the front burner of national discourse, but somehow you cannot jettison the fact that it has also affected the football matters, especially the World Cup qualification between the Bafana and Super Eagles here in Nigeria at the Gospel Akpabio Stadium. We hear that a few players that should be part of this particular, especially the defense line, the goalkeeper, midfielder, and even some of the strikers are yet to arrive. Some of them have been stranded in Lagos because of the strike they heated up around the polity.
Yeah, I think we also raised that issue here yesterday evening when we were on the show about the need for us to find an alternative means of bringing these players down, because don't forget, some of these players, about 10 or 12 of them that have not yet hit the camp. We learned they are in town. Some of them are in Lagos, but because of the labor strike, you know, they have to ground every economic activity where local flight was shut down. And we hear today the international flight will also be shut down. But good thing that we hear that they've also, you know, resolved that issue, and the Labour have called off that strike because of the joint meeting they had yesterday with the federal government. So I think it's a good one. But then I think after this Labour strike being lifted up this morning, probably, you know, some of the local or domestic flight will be operational, and we expect most of these players that have not yet hit the camp to start arriving in earnest, because we don't have much time again, you know, in our hand, and it's a must-win game. It's a make-or-mark game for the Super Eagles. 2 days ago, we learned about 15 players also, you know, trained with the coach. I put call across to, you know, a sport journalist out there in New York who is very close to some of these players on the show. He actually gave us a breakdown of some of the players and the activity. Yesterday evening, they had to take their rest. They didn't train yesterday evening. You know, they wanted to rest yesterday evening and continue their training this morning. So we hope that, you know, with the labor issue, you know, being taken off the way right now, some of the players stranded in Lagos or Abuja, anywhere they are, they should be, you know, making it to the camp very, very early. Probably this evening we'll definitely, you know, see if we can be able to have a live chat direct from the camp of the Super Eagles with one of, you know, our reporter out there, so that he give us, you know, a first-hand happenings of what is happening at the camp this evening.
Of course, we'll get to hear that very well, I can tell you for sure, and of course, massive preparation for that one. But what bothers me is that the counterpart, the opposition, Bafana, have been in camp for 1 week now, and Hugo Bruce boasted last week that they are coming to inflict more pains on Nigeria. And what I've just seen so far, it looks like they are better prepared than us, and they are planning to land or depart from South Africa to Nigeria tomorrow, where they will now come to Uyo to continue their preparation for the game. So I'm a little bit worried when you look at these potentials of the South Africans and how far they have gone in their planning.
It's a good one to prepare, but that doesn't disturb. That shouldn't bother us. We should be bothered about how to get the job done and those things. If you go through the record, I think we've always had a bit of the South Africans.
But they've stopped us from going to a particular Nation Cup. I remember very well, still in that stadium, Uyo, and so that elicited some, you know, reaction back then. But with what we did to them at the World Cup, stopping them, Nation Cup, stopping them from getting to the finals of the Nation Cup, maybe this is just a perfect revenge for them. They get to win this match, and that's all they just want. But can they do it when we have the assemblies of players that have done so well for their various clubs this time?
Yeah, for me, I think when it has to do with the Amapiano battle and the, you know, hip-hop battle, we've also had a better fair share of the game in whatever angle you want to talk about, think about it. And also, we also inflicted pains upon them, heaped misery on them last week as well, where Rivers Hoopers actually, you know, trashed their basketball Cape Town Tigers out there. I know they will be ruined and pained by that victory. They will also want to also take a pound of flesh. But I think it's not going to be in our own backyard here. Looking at the quality of players in our rank, I think we are far away above the South Africans. That is not to, underrate the South Africans, because we saw the beautiful game that they played in the just concluded African Cup of Nations, where most of their players, were locally based. You see that from a
and that's why it's easier for them to always assemble.
Yes, so you don't need to wait for maybe chartered flight or wait for
like what is happening to Nigeria
before you come down. So that is just the difference. They have more time to synergize. They have more time to perfect their plan. They are in tune with each other. Most of the players, they play week in, week out there.
Like 9 of them from Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yeah, so I think that is the only advantage that they have. But then, experience-wise, quality player-wise, I think we are head above the South Africans. It's just that this early preparation in terms of Nigeria way of doing things is not in our culture. And we always do well whenever we have to go with all this fire brigade kind of approach. So for me, let's hope that, that spirit is still going to work for us. Because I tell you, this match, we don't need to, hear the complaint that Victor Osimhen didn't come for the game. Ola, is injured. Kenneth Omeru injured. Truth Ekong not, invited. Nobody want to hear such an excuse.
Nobody.
What we expect from Finidi George is to do the needful, which is by getting the point. I don't know how he's going to do that, whether by hook or by crook, but one thing is certain, that the 3 points is what Nigerians are hoping for.
3 points, it's what Nigeria are hoping for, and of course, CAF have also decided to extend their license, date to accommodate more openings. And Team Nigeria or Nigeria Football Federation will be very happy with this.
Definitely, I think cheers and jubilation will come from the glass house, and the league organizers. You saw when they made that, ultimatum date, the ultimatum that they gave in saying that 15th of this month should be the deadline.
Yeah.
We saw how we were shivering, looking at the matches that were left to play, how we can be able to meet up with that ultimatum. But then I think CAF have also, go through that decision again and see that most of the leagues probably might not be through then, and that is why they had to shift it. But then, despite that, we need to also learn a lesson from this, so that this will not occur next time. We must find a way to align our calendar with that of CAF, so that CAF organized competition does not also affect our own game plan.
And I think it's basically just to align those representing us in CAF should not be given those preference. That doesn't change anything
at all.
A team that, look at what happens in Europe. A team that will play within 3 days, it should be balanced. That's why you have 22 squad. You have 22 number of players to prosecute. At every point in time, 11 players will prosecute, or let's say 15 players at most will prosecute one game at the continental level. When they come back, use the other team, to, in fact, at the MPFL level, they even have more than 22. Registered for each season, because it's a season-long thing. And so I don't buy to the idea that player preference should be given, no matter what. No matter what, doesn't matter, because that affects the league. And look at where we would have found ourselves. So I think that CAF understands, and maybe the preference, the respect, and I know that Nigerians are beneath these changes. I can tell you for sure that the influence of Nigeria would have also caused these changes, and maybe we'll get to see how it all plays out. But before we leave the studio, just to say that Chelsea have appointed the Maresca finally, as confirmed him finally as the coach of the side, and the next thing now will be how far can he go? Just as a lot of person have been asking, it was a permutation. Finally, he's now the coach. The thing is, what he did with Leicester City, are we going to see him do more? Because at this point in time, it's Chelsea getting to win the league, and that's what they care about right now.
Yeah, I think looking at the terms of contract, a 5 years contract given to him with an option to extend, I think it tells you that maybe they are looking for a long time planning, and that's why they had to give him a 5-year contract.
But for Chelsea, if you know Chelsea, it doesn't matter the number of contracts you sign.
Sure.
If after 1 year, 2 years, you don't do it, they have what it takes to pay you off. And look at what they did to. Nobody would have believed that Mauricio Pochettino, with a 3-year contract given to him, will be relieved of his job after his season. So I'm not moved by the length of contract given to a coach, a Chelsea team, a Chelsea coach, because in 1 year time, the results are not popping out. They have what it takes to grind you out and pay you off, or force you to have a mutual agreement with them. That's all.
Yeah, in as much as that seems to be their culture, but then I think them offering him 5 years, maybe. They are looking at making him to stay for a quite long time, so that you have more time to plan. Because if you are given a 5-year contract as a coach, that automatically dawns on you that these people, they want to keep me for a quite long time, and that is why I need to do my job. I need to start hitting the ground running immediately the first day of my appointment, so that at least they will see need to renew your contract, you know. But then I tell you, for Enzo Maresca, relatively unknown in the Premier League because he haven't played any Premier League club, but then he hasn't coached any Premier League club, but then he was there with Pep Guardiola. You know, he's a prodigy of Pep Guardiola. He was there during the treble winning time of Pep Guardiola when they won treble. So having garnered this experience, then went to the Leicester City, helped by the financial strength of Leicester City compared to other championship teams, and that is why he was able to bring them back. But then take a look at his philosophy. You want to say, yes, it aligned with that of Chelsea, with the vision of Chelsea, and he made it very clear that he's very excited, you know, to have a very young squad to also work in line with the philosophy of the team. So for me, I think, possibly, let's just keep our fingers crossed, hoping that he's going to turn the tide and bring Chelsea back to winning ways. All
right, and of course, Kylian Mbappe has signed a deal with Real Madrid. That has been confirmed formally by the club yesterday. When we come back later this evening, we'll have more time to look at the content and the details of that deal and what next, you know, for the guys from Stadio Bernabeu. Many thanks to you, Mike, for being part of the conversation this morning.
Always a pleasure.
All right, I stay locked on Atlantic Television Network. It's Ekpo Temple, and I'm saying it's one game football without violence. Have a lovely day, but stay out of trouble. Bye-bye.